Welcome back into NFL Daily, live once again. I am Tom Downey, Stone Shields, behind the scenes for today's live show. We will talk about the NFL Draft with the ESPN 2-round mock draft getting dropped earlier this week. And, of course, trade rumors on Cooper Kupp and Myles Garrett. We will begin with him. We did the Myles Garrett trade destination video for you guys on Monday. Prediction time. Who do you think will trade for Myles Garrett? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Who do you think ends up landing Garrett in the event the Browns do decide to trade Garrett, which might be a decent time to consider that and embrace a rebuild. If they were ever going to, this is a pretty good leverage time to do so. So get those predictions in. Who will trade for Myles Garrett? Let me know in the comments. True Allure has the 49ers. I didn't put them in the top 10. I think they're a fun dark horse destination. Like, they can actually make it work money-wise. They just might not choose to make it work money-wise at this one. But it'd be very fun. Would upset a lot of other NFC teams, too. Rafe wants to get on the Raiders, but knows it won't happen. Atlanta could really use him. They are very light on draft capital. That does make it a little bit complicated. Lions, I think, are a fun fit. Bears are a fun fit, especially the Lions. Like, they're kind of in their win-now window. You could say F them picks, which the front office once did when they were with the Rams. Then they embraced a proper rebuild. Could be their F them picks era. Panthers in there, Lions in there. We're going to show up for the Panthers. I just think that they're not as close as they need to be justifying giving up all that they could for Myles Garrett. Now, it's a great player, so you have to consider it. But I think some of the feasibility, proper usage of asset management comes into play because he is going to command such a high return. If the Chiefs get Myles Garrett, I don't know what I will do, but it will be bad. That's not fair. They don't need Myles Garrett to. Eagles don't need him either. They've got those two teams have enough top end talent, though they could never put it past them. They are aggressive, and the big reason why they're playing the Super Bowl, right? Today's live show is made possible by Game Time. Game Time's got a new feature. It's called Game Time Picks. Makes getting tickets for events even easier. It filters out the fluff to only show you incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets to find the best value. It is curation to make it easier to find better value for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, everything else in between. Download the Game Time app, create your account, use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. But again, create your account, redeem code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off that first purchase. Download Game Time today. Terms apply. Live show also made possible by Prize Picks, the best place to win real money sports action, to get in on the real money sports action. The big game is almost here. It is now or never. Do not miss out on the last football game of the season. With Prize Picks, the best place to win cash while watching the big game. They'll give you the free square of the Patrick Mahomes half passing yard. Download the app today. Use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS over at prizepicks.com/CLNS. We will talk about Cooper Kupp on today's show as well, as the trade rumors are back. They were here at the trade deadline. Now they are fully back and seem likely to come to fruition as well, with Kupp revealing last night that the Rams are going to work with him to find a new destination to trade him away. So where do you think Cooper Kupp will play in 2025? Let me know in the comments of today's live show. Excuse me. Where will he play? Ravens or Chiefs? My issue with the Chiefs is I think they have guys in that mold. Like, I think what they asked Travis Kelce to do as a pass catcher, what they asked Rashee Rice to do as a pass catcher, I think it's kind of an overlap. But it'd be fun. Ravens makes sense to me. Texans, I like that fit a lot. Lions, there is the tie to the organization, but they have Cooper Kupp, they have Amon-Ra St. Brown, who I think is a better version. They have Jameson Williams. I don't know if another receiver that's fairly expensive is how the Lions should, spend their money. James says the Giants, they could use it too. They're also not close to contending. Now they're going to try to be, so maybe they could justify giving up an asset for a veteran. Not a bad name. Saints, Receivers in need, sure, at least to an extent. As long as you get Chris Olave healthy, maybe not so much. They're also extremely limited with their funds because they haven't rebuilt the way they were supposed to when Drew Brees retired. But it's a clever name. Bills has been a very popular one too. Bills are also kind of low-key tight on money. They'll make some moves and be fine, but I think Khalil Shakir honestly kind of fills that more slot-heavy role. All right, Super Bowl is a few days away. Who do you have winning? C for the Chiefs, E for the Eagles. Let me know in the comment section of today's show. We will continue to give shout-outs here as well. Who do you have? Not who you want. Who do you think wins this one? 57% voting right now in favor of the Eagles. 59% now in favor of the Eagles. Josh Prince, Shelly, Bryce, Rafe all typing in their E for the Eagles. Mike's got the Chiefs. James S. has the Chiefs as well. Excuse me. Who you got winning this one? Stone, have we got your official prediction from last Monday or no? Otherwise, let's do it. Who you got winning?
I got the Philadelphia Eagles winning the Super Bowl. Remember I said that last Monday and, it was probably bad.
Oh, it was on Cowboys.
Yeah,
that's right. That's where I asked you. Yeah. I was cheering for the asteroid in that one.
Right.
There you go.
Oh, yeah, I'm still here for the asteroid as well. I'm not really fired up about either one of these teams, but I'm ready for Mahomes and company to lose one for sure.
John says he wants the Eagles, but thinks it will be the Chiefs. Rafe says because of Saquon. Mike is still mad at the Eagles for what they did. Get those votes in. Who you got in this one? Final NFL game of the season, Super Bowl. Chiefs or the Eagles, C or E in the comments. Now, if you want us to start today's live show, show it by liking the video, please, and thank you. It's free, it's simple, it's easy. Helps keep the lights on here, quite literally, as I look at one and blind myself like an idiot. Like the video if you haven't already done so. Coming up on today's show, we will break down the potential Cooper Kupp trade, some top destinations as the Rams shop the star receiver, a mailbag, 2 ways to get on, hashtag NFL, or skip the line altogether, super chat. It's hashtag NFL. If you don't use the hashtag NFL, Bruce Stone cannot find your questions. So questions, comments, thoughts, ideas on anything related to the NFL, get them in right now via hashtag NFL like Rafe just did. And an ESPN NFL mock draft, 2 rounds from Matt Miller. We'll break that down all live here on NFL Daily. It's not just Myles Garrett trade rumors that are here. Cooper Kupp trade rumors are here for the NFL and the LA Rams after Kupp revealed that the Rams are going to try to trade him. So we're going to break down what teams I think could be interested. I'll go 10, just like we did for the Myles Garrett trade destinations on Monday. That video is available on the channel. Will be in the comments and the description of today's show. For more trade updates, all offseason long and just general NFL coverage, you've come to the right spot. Hit that sub button right now, youtube.com/chatsportstv. I'm part of a lengthy post on social media. Cooper Kupp said this: I was informed the team, the Rams, will be seeking a trade immediately and will be working with me and my family to find the right place to continue competing for a championship. I don't agree with the decision, and always was going to be begin and end in L.A. Sometimes you don't get what you want, and that's what Cooper Kupp is staring down the barrel of here with the L.A. Rams. He has missed time each of the past 3 years. He has not been the same guy that was the best receiver in football in 2021. Age, injuries, all of those things have kind of caught up to Cooper Kupp. And most potentially impactful, as it relates to the contract, or to the trade at least, is the contract. Rams don't want to pay him nearly $30 million. Don't blame them for that. That makes sense. They could save $7.52 right now by cutting him and not making it a post-June 1st cut. If they were to make it a post-June 1st release, they save $15 million. They save $12.52 if they trade him. The issue is the new team that would take on Cooper Kupp's deal would owe him $20 million this year. $20 million. That comes in the form of a $12.5 million base salary and a $7.5 million roster bonus. Now, $5 million of that roster bonus is currently guaranteed, hence a big difference in the release trade savings there for the Rams. So LA, if they want to really move Cooper Kupp, might need to eat at least some of that roster bonus, because $12.5 million for Kupp is a lot more palatable for many teams than $20 million. It still might be too much for several NFL teams. And if the Rams don't want to eat that money, then a release could happen. Early reporting sounds like they're open to it. I think that would be a shrewd move by LA to get something back in a trade. But they also would reach the point of, okay, we could save the 15 with the post-June 1st cut. We could save, let's say it's 12-ish with a trade. At one point, and maybe it's not the 12, maybe it's more like 9, maybe it's 8, maybe it's just the 7 you get via a cut right now, as opposed to a post-June 1st. At what point does whatever draft pick you get outweigh the potential salary cap savings? So regardless, does not sound like Kupp will be back in LA, at least with the Rams. With that in mind, where will Cooper Kupp play in 2025? It is the pinned comment on today's show. So if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. We'll break down now some top Cooper Kupp trade destinations. We'll go from 10 to 1, mentioning teams that have been heavily linked, rumored, high odds, whatever, in what I think is least likely to most likely. At number 10, the Dallas Cowboys. You know they get linked to every single player that becomes available, even though they almost never get them. The Cowboys are in the market for a number 2 wide receiver. And I do think in a release scenario, this might make a little bit more sense, or if for some reason Kupp wants to take a discount, which seems unlikely. I'll make note of the projected cap space for all 10 teams we discuss. A lot of those numbers are not how it'll actually be. When the Cowboys restructure Dak and Lamb, that's going to free up over $50 million in an instant, or around $50 million instantaneous. They'll be fine. But do they want to spend anywhere between $12 to $20 million on a number 2 receiver and give up a draft pick? I don't know. Number 9 is the Bengals, and they've been linked a lot to Cooper Kupp, which I find interesting because Kupp is not the same player he was in his prime, and simply put, I would rather just pay T. Higgins. T. Higgins is better, also has injury issues, but we know works with Joe Burrow. I think that probably is a more feasible path and a more logical path for the Bengals, who aren't exactly big traders anyway. In the event they lose T. Higgins or plan to lose T. Higgins, maybe Kupp makes some more sense, but I just would keep the really good, better, younger player. Today's show is made possible by Game Time. Game Time is the place for tickets to your next event. They got a new feature. It's called Game Time Picks. It makes getting tickets for events even easier. Game Time Picks filters out the fluff to show you only incredible deals on great seats, so you don't have to waste time searching through thousands of tickets to find the best value. It's curation to help you get more bang for your buck. Keep an eye out for the super deal. It is the best deal on any given event, by the way. Help maximize your value. The all-in pricing feature shows your total cost up front with no surprise fees at checkout. And the Game Time guarantee is this. You find tickets in the same section and row for less. Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So go download the Game Time app today over at gametime.co. Create your account. Use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Now, terms do apply. But again, create your account. Redeem code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off your first purchase. Download Game Time today for last-minute tickets, the lowest price, all guaranteed. Number 8, the Las Vegas Raiders. They are in the wide receiver market. They could use a true replacement for Devontae Adams. Kupp is not prime Adams anymore, but he certainly helps you replace him in the end. My big question here is, despite massive amounts of salary cap space, $92 million, do the Raiders view themselves as buyers? You could have made a better argument if they were, picking number 1, number 2, they draft a QB, get a good, reliable veteran, help that young QB grow. I don't know what their quarterback plans are yet. I don't think they know what their QB plans are yet. Number 7, the Washington Commanders. Now, outside of Terry McLaurin, a truly better, reliable number 2 than the rotation they used this year does intrigue me. Issue for the Commanders. They are light on draft picks as part of the Marshawn Lattimore trade, but they can easily absorb Cooper Kupp in a trade. So maybe a trade swap, pick swap in some capacity, could start to make sense for the Commanders there. They're going to a lot of mercenary-type veterans, guys that are available because they have cap space. They're not paying the quarterback anything really right now, and they're coming off a conference championship game berth. Number 8, the Denver Broncos, or number 6, the Denver Broncos. Apparently I can't do math or words properly there. I think outside of Courtland Sutton, some viable questions as to how good, reliable this wide receiving core actually is. I think they need to figure that out. I think Sean Payton, with the way he's able to design offenses, would be able to have a good amount of fun and maximize Cooper Kupp in the same way the Rams were clearly able to under Sean McVay. Cap space, around 35, not an impediment necessarily to making anything happen out in Denver. So Denver comes in at number 6. The Patriots come in at number 5. This kind of fits a similar vein of like the Raiders. Like, you have a young franchise QB. You have Drake May in the fold. You must support him. And I don't know if Kupp's a true number 1 anymore, but I do think as a lead receiver with other young guys around him, I think that could work in a receiving core. And money is zero object. $120 million. If the Patriots don't want to run the ball with Mike Vrabel, then Kupp's blocking comes into play as an asset as well. So do you believe Cooper Kupp is a number 1 wide receiver? Why for yes and for no? Let me know in the comment section of today's video. Number 4, the Baltimore Ravens. And the Ravens, and again, this is a fun idea. They are close to getting over the hump. They haven't quite been able to do it. I think allowing Kupp to work in the underneath could also maybe benefit Zay Flowers a little bit more and allow him to be used more as a deep threat and let Bateman kind of be the do-everything guy. I think plus his overall play style fits pretty well with the Ravens. Got to figure out the money side, but I'm sure the Rams wouldn't mind sending Kupp to an NFC team. Number 3, the LA Chargers. Cooper Kupp doesn't even have to move. Works well for the helping his family angle that Kupp mentioned. Ladd McConkey, Cooper Kupp are an exciting duo. A lot of usage out of the exciting White's meme gets deployed then. He's a willing blocker that fits very well with what the Chargers want to do on offense. I think both guys can do some inside-out stuff, referring to McConkey and Kupp there. Plenty of cap space for LA. I like that fit quite a bit. Now, what draft pick in a trade do you think Cooper Kupp and his salary is worth? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Number 2, this one should not be a surprise. It's a receiver, so of course the Pittsburgh Steelers are mentioned in this conversation. They have been linked to every single wide receiver that has come available on the market for the past year-ish. And Kupp is a very different style of wide receiver than George Pickens. Pickens is an outside jump ball vertical guy. Kupp can do all the dirty work, the middle of the field stuff very well. I think it'd be a good pairing, especially with maybe an uncertain future for George Pickens anyway. Cap space not an issue at all for Pittsburgh. I like these top 3 teams the most as fits. And at number 1, the Houston Texans. Remember, Houston has been trying to add more receiver help with Nico Collins, Tank Dell coming off another bad injury, so receiver is a need with Stephon Diggs, a free agent. The Texans just hired the Rams passing game corner, Nick Haley, as their new OC. Really a strong fit there. Biggest issue, the Texans have invested a lot of money into the roster as is. They'd have to get creative to free up some more space. It is time now for our mailbag. 2 ways to get on the show. Number 1 is to use hashtag NFL. Number 2 is to skip the line altogether. Sip my water here. I should have taken a cough drop beforehand because I feel like I'm about to cough everywhere. It's not fun. But use hashtag NFL to skip the line altogether. Or use Super Chat to skip the line. Hashtag NFL like Christian and Rafe and others have done to get in on the mailbag. We'll break down all the questions starting right now. Before we get into today's NFL mailbag, who do you have winning the Super Bowl this year? C for the Kansas City Chiefs or E for the Philadelphia Eagles? Go vote in the comments of today's show. True or Lore, who should the Niners target at pick number 11? It's a good question. A lot of this comes down to who's on the board. There's not going to be like an obvious clear-cut consensus first rounder, I think, there. Out in this like Ashton Genty falls or something. I think there's going to be a lot of disagreement in this class this year. Like there will be teams that have, hey, I have a first-round grade on this edge, but it could be like a number 5 edges. It's not going to be consensus on which edge that is. Who's left? Who do you have highly valued. Same with the offensive line. There will probably be a first-round grade on their board. Which offensive line is it? Will Campbell? Is it Kelvin Banks? Is it Amar Membu? On and on and on. Is the edge Mike Green, Mikael Williams, James Pierce? Like, there's going to be disagreement. I think trench play in general is a critical factor for San Francisco. I would like an offensive lineman, whether it's Will Campbell, Armand Membu, Kelvin Banks. I think Josh Simmons out of Ohio State. I think all those guys can fit in San Francisco. Or for San Francisco, I should say. From Rafe, which seems more likely for the Texans, Cooper Kupp or Stephon Diggs? I would like to say Cooper Kupp. I think that's a good fit for what they want to do on offense. Money-wise, probably not a huge difference either. Rams tight ends coach, pass game coordinator is the new OC. I'm not confident in it because he's not a free agent, so who knows? But I'll actually shoot my shot and say Kupp. From Smithers, will the Niners trade Deebo Samuel? The Deebo contract is weird. It's kind of a mess because it's not built to be traded. It's built for him to stay on the team and then figure out what they do after that. So I could see it happening if they just want to move on altogether. The way it's structured, moving on next year makes a little bit more sense, but there's a kind of complicated option bonus that's about to be put into play here. Doesn't make a lot of sense for a trade. If anything, maybe post-draft a trade starts to make more sense, but possible. I'm still going to go no right now. Will the Niners end up trading Deebo Samuel? Good job listening on the fly, Stone. It is the pinned comment on today's show, so if the ad comes here on YouTube, take advantage of it. Head down there and let me know. Y for yes, N for no. Dr. Pancake, a $2 super chat. What would you do if you were at number 3 and were the New York Giants? What I would do if I was a new GM just now taking over versus what I would do if I were in the shoes of Brian Daboll and Joe Schoen are two different answers, actually. If I were in the Daboll-Schoen spot, I'd be like, I got to take my QB. If I don't get a new QB and get some hope going for this franchise and show promise, I'm getting fired. It would be an act of desperation to take Cam Ward or Shadur Sanders and try to save my job with a young French QB saying, look, we have our guy. You got to keep us. We have our guy now. That's what I would do. Now, if I were building a new team, if I were just taking the job, I would trade down. I'd say, give me assets. My roster needs work. I need time to develop all this out. I don't want to lock myself into a QB in a class that I don't love necessarily. And that's why I think the Giants made a mistake bringing back Shane and Brian Daboll, because now their decisions are based out of pressure and desperation to save their jobs, not what is best long-term for the organization. From Mike Nintendo Master, will the Deshaun Watson trade go down as the worst trade in NFL and Browns history? I think whenever you mention the worst trades, it will now be Herschel Walker and Deshaun Watson. That Watson trade has been a disaster for Cleveland. It sunk draft assets. They spent a ton of money on it. Now Myles Garrett wants out. It's been a mess in Cleveland. Now, maybe it'll help start the rebuild and they can move on at that point. And, no guarantee necessarily that, the next quarterback's any good either. But it did not work out the way the Browns wanted to. And it should be very telling that their best success came when Deshaun Watson wasn't on the field. Now, this is often a results-based question. Like, there have been some bad trades, even in recent memory, ended up working out fine because the results were good. Like, for example, the Trey Lance trade, the Niners gave up a lot, but they also looked into Brock Purdy in the same draft, or later, and ended up winning a bunch of games still. But I think the Watson and Herschel Walker ones go up there pretty high. Today's show is made possible by Prize Picks. It is the best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million members and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 1,000 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. The big game is almost here, and it's now or never. Don't miss out on the last football game of the season. Take advantage of the free square on Prize Picks. It is a half passing yard from Patrick Mahomes. Saquon Barkley, more than yards on the ground. Xavier Worthy, more than rushing yards. I love the idea of a reverse for him. That's my Prize Picks slate. You can pick your own or ride with that one. Go download the Prize Picks app today over at prizepicks.com/CLNS and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly after you play that first $5 lineup. Win or lose, you get that $50 after the first $5 lineup is played. Use code CLNS over at prizepicks.com/CLNS. From Rafe again. Does Houston look for a guard early in the draft to go to guard in free agency, or you see it as one or the other? It's a good question. Houston is also kind of entering a dangerous territory where you've spent big money and assets on Laramie Tunsil. You spent a first-round pick on Titus Howard. You spent a first-round pick on Kenyon Green. You traded for Shaq Mason and paid him. You drafted Blake Fisher in round 2. You drafted Drew Scruggs in round 2. That is a massive amount of draft capital and money to spend on your offensive line. And at some point, you kind of got to go, look, we have to address other needs too. You can't just keep throwing all of the premium assets on your offensive line. Coaching should matter here too, and maybe get better results from a coaching perspective. I think adding a guard makes sense. Wouldn't be shocked if like Shaq Mason got moved on from. Maybe keep trying Titus Howard in there at guard. I think a cheap veteran backup guard and early like low-end starting guard and maybe a try again on day 2 is a decent plan for Houston. From Jace, Myles Garrett to where? Surprised it took us this long to get a Garrett question. I think a lot of teams make sense. Depends on do the Browns actually move him and how much is the bidding war go for in the end. I think the Bears make sense. I think the Lions are super intriguing. I would bet they would trade him to the NFC more than anything else, but there's a lot of teams that have interest in Myles Garrett. There's almost no wrong answer here because it's Myles Garrett. Every team can find a way to make it work if they want to. Matter of who wants to the most. Who will end up trading for Myles Garrett? Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Your boy Alex. What if Seattle got Cooper Kupp? With Lockett possibly in the season and how washed he is, could we possibly try and upgrade Kupp to a good receiver again? I kind of feel like that's a little bit of like 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. Like you're moving on from Lockett because he's expensive and aging and declining production. And the Rams are on from Kupp because he's aging, expensive, and declining production. I also think that the JSN role is probably a little bit repetitive with Cooper Kupp. And I don't know if you need another highly paid, expensive, high-investment third receiver. I think let JSN, let DK, if you're going to keep DK in that scenario, be your top 2 guys, and then find a cheaper third. Lacora Victor, if the Bears get Myles Garrett, will they have the number 1 defense on top, like they did for Khalil Mack back in 2018? I like Dennis Allen a lot as a defensive coordinator, so you add Myles Garrett to that mix. Maybe they're not number 1, maybe they're like number 3 or 5 or something, but I think if you add the Bears to that, all of a sudden, or Garrett to the Bears, you feel really good about that defense overall. We will be live here on Chat Sports for the Super Bowl, a live stream coming for that game, like we have for all the NFL and college football playoff games. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. YouTube.com/chatsportstv. From Bryce Blackwell, what team will spend the most money this offseason? The obvious one to me is the Patriots because they've got more cap space than any NFL organization. They have a new regime in charge that makes them probably more likely to spend. They have a cheap young quarterback. I think maybe they only finish 3rd or something, but I would expect the Patriots to be aggressive this offseason. There's no reason not to be. Richard Arnold, will the Rams also trade Matthew Stafford? Clever thought. I don't know what the Rams' big picture plan is. Stafford's kind of at a fork in the road, I'll call it. He's got a big cap. It's almost $50 million. It's a lot. It's not outlandish with the way the salary cap's gone up, but it is a lot. And also just $27 million in cash this year with $4 million guaranteed. Doubt he wants to restructure again. Doubt the Rams want to do that. Do they go with the extension or say, let's just ride this one out? I think that is a conversation that will have to be had in that building. So name a player who you think gets traded. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. Garrett Brown's prods. Oh, boy, I'm sorry, buddy. What do you do as the Browns right now to make the playoffs? He also asked, what would I do if I were the Browns? I think those are two different questions. If I were the Browns, I would look at my roster. I'd look at what's happened. I'd look at my money in my quarterback room and say, we gave it a good try. It's Garrett wants out. This is bad. Let's tear it down. And I would say, Myles, we love you. You sure you don't want to work this out? We will try to win. If he says, no, I don't believe in this team, okay, then you blow it up. If you were keeping Myles Garrett and you want to make the playoffs, I don't love this quarterback class. I don't want to invest heavily in a guy that I don't fully believe in at number 2 overall. I'll take either Abdul Carter, Travis Hunter, or trade down if I can get more assets there, and I'll go try to find a stopgap veteran. That might be somebody like Kirk Cousins. That doesn't inspire great confidence, but if I can get him for on a cut, if he gets released for $1 million a year, that's pretty good value. That might be the path I try to pursue if I were trying to win games right now. Christian, I got the perfect offseason for Pittsburgh. Sign DJ Reed, sign Devontae Adams, then draft Emeka Ibuka and Cam Skattebo. It's a fun 4 moves. Here's my big question. What's the quarterback situation look like in Pittsburgh? Because that is the thing I have the biggest question marks about. Last one here from Rob. I have Cooper Kupp going to Denver as the veteran leader. I don't mind that fit at all. I think Sean Payton is kind of always in the mood for he made Michael Thomas elite on slants. You would use Cooper Kupp in a bit more creative fashion, I think, but that possession receiver underneath clearly works in the Broncos offense. All right, back to Myles Garrett, folks. Assuming the Browns do trade him, where does he go? Who trades for Myles Garrett? Let me know in the comment section of today's show as I sip some more of my water here. Let me know in the comments who will trade for Myles Garrett. Ooh, Skibbity says nobody. I think that is a possible answer here. I think that is possible. Nobody. Detroit. Browns keep him. Christian says keep Justin Fields as QB1 for Pittsburgh. Okay, it's planned. I still kind of wonder if that's a good enough end result, but it's planned. Garrett Brown's prod says keep murder to the Lions. There you go. Dirty Bird Falcons in there. They're nobody. Get those votes in. Who do you think will end up trading for Myles Garrett? Before we get into the latest ESPN NFL mock draft, which will be posted on both the Chat Sports YouTube channel and on the NFL Draft by Chat Sports channel, if you want a post-Senior Bowl NFL mock draft, like the video for me right now. All right, 2 rounds. We'll go fast on some of these, so it's not a 45-minute video. Tennessee goes not quarterback here. Abdul Carter at number 1 overall. I think Chad Brinker's comments worked we're not going to pass up on a generational talent. That means a different person to each person you ask. That's how you generate trade interest in the number 1 overall pick. Good job. Browns at 2 also pass on quarterback, taking Travis Hunter. So 1, 2, 2, 1, depending on how you rank them, the general consensus top players in the draft go off the board. Quarterbacks wait until number 3 with Cam Ward going here to the New York Football Giants. They are thirsty for a QB. We all know that, and it would not be a surprise if they went down that path. Now, Mason Graham, number 4 to the New England Patriots, which, you can argue this is them just taking the best player available. That's fine with me. Hopefully, the Patriots are able to get back Christian Barmore from his blood clotting issue sooner rather than later. But a defensive line of a healthy Christian Barmore, Keon White, it's a really good start up front. Number 5, Will Johnson out of Michigan to the Jags. I think getting another corner outside of Tyson Campbell makes some sense. I am curious, by the way, what the speed looks like at the combine. No QBs go until number 6, and no surprise there, Shadur Sanders to the Raiders at the number 6 overall spot. The athletic ability of the arm strength is not elite. It's not as good as Cam Ward's. The accuracy, though, is very, very impressive. Number 7, the Jets take Will Campbell. I'm a little hesitant to say it's another premium pick on the offensive line, but it's a good player, so I get it. Jalen Walker is going to be a divisive prospect. Is he athletic enough to play off-ball linebacker? Can he hold up full-time at edge? Is he a bit of a tweener? Does he play both in the same way that you've kind of seen Frankie Luvo used a little bit by the Commanders, for example? But that's a very talented, unique player. Tet McMillan goes number 9 to the Saints to help out with Chris Olave. Hopefully Olave's healthy after the concussion concerns. 6'5" and kind of moves way better than you think for somebody of that size. Back-to-back offensive linemen here. The Bears take Kelvin Banks. I was merging Bears and Kelvin into one word somehow. Bears take Kelvin Banks with, we'll see if he's a guard or a tackle. I think that's up in the air, which Bears could use help with both. I do like the Josh Simmons fit to the 49ers here. We'll see when Trent Williams calls it a career, but at minimum, play him at right tackle to start. And then your first, I think, real surprise here is number 12, Matthew Golden, out of Texas, where I like him. I think he's a good football player. I think he's got a long career in front of him as like a number 2 receiver. Over Luther Burden, maybe even over Emeka Egbuka is kind of dicey for me. But this is kind of the range you get into, this spot in the draft, where there's not a lot of consensus. Who is the 15th best player and who is like the 30th best player? There's going to be overlap there. A lot of disagreements. I think it could lead to a bit of an unusually crazy NFL draft. So if you want to come back to this question later at the end of the video, that's fine too. But I want you to grade Matt Miller's NFL mock draft at the pinned comments of today's show. A, B, C, D, or F. Go vote. Armand Membu, offensive line out of Missouri, help for Tua. Looks and is built more like a guard, but I think could hold up at tackle. But with the Dolphins' investments, he probably plays guard. A very popular mock draft pick here, Tyler Warren, Indianapolis. I would wonder if he could be a pick at number 7 for the Jets. Falcons get some pass rush help. Michael Williams, he missed time with an injury this year. I think that has to be acknowledged. I think there is some Trayvon Walker to his game. Do you trust the pass rush stuff? He's a very good run stopper, but is the pass rush going to develop? Jahdae Barron, one of my favorite players in this year's class, goes number 16 to the Arizona Cardinals. I am glad he is now kind of consistently being mocked as a first-round player because I think he is that good. Shamar Stewart to the Bengals at 17, and then also Jihad Campbell to Seattle at 18. I like the Campbell fit a lot for Seattle as long as you don't mind asking your linebackers to blitz. I think that fits really well. I still have some question marks about if that's how Mike McDonald would use him. It's different than what it was with Roquan Smith, but he can cover and blitz. Stewart is a very physically gifted player. He moves incredibly well. That's like 6'5", 285. He never had more than 2 sacks in a season. So how do you balance the upside versus where was that production? Edge is a big need, though, for the Bengals. Who is your favorite player in the 2025 NFL Draft? Let me know. Where else but the comment section of today's video. Love the value here at number 19. I don't know how big of a need receiver actually is unless they do lose Chris Godwin because I like Jalen McMillan a lot. But Luther Burden as a after-catch, big play generator, I'm very high on him. Denver gets a tight end. This is a popular mock draft pick too. The Chargers or Denver going tight end. You see those a lot in the end. Colston Loveland didn't do a lot this year. He had some injuries. Also, Michigan's passing game stunk. Go back and watch 2023. Was very, very, very good. Emeka Egbuka has been a receiver too pretty much all his career for Ohio State. Still put up record-setting numbers for the Buckeyes. Willing blocker. The Bobby Trees comp is a very accurate one for me. Ashton Genty to the Chargers. Here he is. Plenty of Cowboys fans very mad about passing on Genty for Matthew Golden, I am sure. I would bet he goes earlier than this. I think he's too good. Even in a great back class, he's going to be a pretty consensus round 1 pick. He's going to be high on the boards when teams are on the clock pretty consistently. All right, Josh Connolly out of Oregon to Green Bay in round 1. They always find talent in the first round or outside the first round offensive line, but this is an immense upside player, former 5-star recruit. Minnesota getting defense tackle up also makes sense. Walter Nolan, again, it's an upside play. I don't love the consistency yet, but the traits are certainly there. Today's show is made possible by Game Time. They got a new feature. It's called Game Time Picks that makes getting tickets for events, whether it's sports, concerts, comedy, theater, everything else in between, easier than ever. It filters out the fluff to only show you incredible deals on great seats. So you don't have to waste time searching through thousands to find the best value. Keep an eye out for the super deal. It is the best value for any given event. We've also got other tiers like amazing, great, flash sales as well sometimes. The Game Time guarantee is this. If you find tickets in the same section and row for less, Game Time will credit you 110% of the difference. So download the Game Time app today, create your account, and use code CHATSPORTS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. But again, create your account, redeem code CHATSPORTS, CHATSPORTS, for $20 off your first purchase. Link will be in the comments section and the description of today's show. Let's go to Houston at 25, Rams at 26 here. First up is Houston. There's your guard. I get a little bit worried about investing so much into the offensive line, but I think Booker is a reliable, very good starter, plug-and-play type of option here. Rams go cornerback, and this is a guy that I like because when you have a long, athletic, lanky corner like Azareye'h Thomas is, Wanya Thomas' brother, by the way, Cowboys safety, that guy typically doesn't last all that long. I'm excited to see how he tests at the combine as well. Ravens go offensive line here. Jonah Savaiinaea, who I think is probably going to be a guard, which is his play style in the NFL. He's played all over the offensive line for Arizona, so it shouldn't be a huge issue. Like the value here for Derek Harmon at 28. Again, pick your second best defense tackle behind Mason Graham. There's like 4 or 5 guys that fit that mold. One will probably go top 20. One might fall outside of round 1. James Pierce, love this pick here for the Commanders. They get a Randy Gregory type of athlete, hopefully not the off-field stuff too, to help get some more pass rush juice for the Commanders. Nick Amon-Mori is a physically gifted safety, but I think at times I want to see be a little bit more physical than he plays. He plays a bit finesse. It's like 6'2" and change and 227, but he's got immense physical gifts and speed and all that. Chiefs here. Going with Mike Green at number 31 overall. And then Kenneth Grant at 32. A high-end couple impact pieces there for those respective teams. Number 33, Trey Amos to the Cleveland Browns. And then Malachi Starks at 34. Couple of issues I had with the Matt Miller mock draft as things kind of moved along. The biggest of which was this. The Browns take Travis Hunter, who can play receiver and corner, and then they also drafted a good corner in round 2. Is he just a receiver for you now, or what's your overall game plan there? Safety-wise, the Giants just drafted Tyler Nubin, and I get that Jason Pinnock, who's played well as a free agent, but you're going to get a corner or quarterback and then go get another good player. Great, love the value. Another safety, though, is a little bit interesting to me. Now, we'll have more NFL videos for you right here on the channel. Hit that sub button so you don't miss out. YouTube.com/chatsportstv. Tennessee, who drafted 2 tight ends last year, ignoring the offense line, which they desperately need help for, and take Carson Schwarzenegger, who I like. Former walk-on, impact linebacker. Positional need doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I would have just taken Donovan Jackson, frankly. I think that would have made a lot of sense. As the Jags take him at 36 overall. Number 37, Donovan Ezeraku out of Boston College. Argument made was that the Raiders need another pass rusher opposite Max Crosby, which, okay, sure. Maybe you're out on Tyree Wilson. You think you're going to lose Malcolm Kuntz. At that point, edge becomes a need. Another front 4 player for the Patriots, Jack Sawyer, which, again, sure, I would like to invest at some point in the offense. Well, maybe they did in free agency. I would have loved Amarian Hampton to the Raiders. He goes 39 to the Chicago Bears. Good haul for Chicago, by the way. Going offensive line and then running back worked out pretty well. Number 40, Jackson Dart to the Saints. And Dart is He throws a great deep ball. He's got good tools. I don't think they're great tools necessarily. I think he needs time to learn how to process an offense. It's not just a Lane Kiffin kind of borderline Mickey Mouse offense that works so well in college, but doesn't translate that great to the NFL. I think someone has to be QB3. Dart probably will be quarterback 3, but I think he's a late day 2 guy at best, not an early day 2 guy. Tyleik Williams to the Bears here as they get a big boy on the interior pair with Trevon Dexter for Dennis Allen's new defense. And then Quinn Ewers out of Texas to the Jets here. Would not be surprised if Jets took a QB to work as the heir apparent to either Aaron Rodgers or a short-term option, potentially. We'll hear more Quinn Ewers buzz once the combine rolls around. It'll be his turn to get the buzz instead of Jackson Dart. But I have issues with Quinn, a lot of them, frankly. He's not a top 5 QB for me in this class. How many QBs do you think are drafted in the first 2 rounds? Let me know in the comments of today's show. Love this pick for the Niners. Gray Zabel, who I think can play guard or center, fits in well. Niners investing in the O-line is something they need to do. Trigger warning for Cowboys fans. Elijah Arroyo out of Miami is a really good athlete. I like him a lot. The Cowboys' tight end round 2 draft pick track record, though, is really, really bad. All right, several corners all in a row here. Colts take Maxwell Harrison, who I think is probably be an outside corner with great ball skills. Benjamin Morrison, great talent. Is the hip okay, though, to the Falcons? Siobhan Ravel out of ECU to the Arizona Cardinals, coming off torn ACL. He might go even earlier than 47. Then TJ Sanders as they get a defensive tackle here to help replace Christian Wilkins properly. The Bengals need edge help. Double dipping at edge is probably too much, though. It ignores DT, ignores secondary concerns. I like JT Tuimoloau. This is the right range for him. Adding another edge doesn't seem like great. That was kind of a constant theme in Matt Miller's mock draft was excess double dipping for me. Alfred Collins, again, right range for him, I think. Another Texas DT in the top 50 back-to-back years. Okay. Caleb Johnson to the back-to-back backs, I should say. Caleb Johnson, the Broncos, like that fit a lot. I think he's a good player for what Sean Payton wants to do. And Quinshon Judkins does fit pretty well as a just one-to-one Najee Harris replacement. Princely Uman Mielen out of Ole Miss to Tampa Bay here. Get some more pass rush help. No real complaints there. Love the value for Nick Scorton, who I thought was better at Purdue than he was this past year at Texas A&M. Shed some weight. I think he can still be a top 50 player at minimum in this class. Mason Taylor, the son of Jason Taylor, Dolphins legend and nephew of Zach Taylor, by the way. Which is kind of funny how that one worked out for him. LSU tight end, I think obvious day 2 pick there. Joshua Farmer out of FSU, part of a great DT class, goes to the Bills. Quincy Riley, who I like, going to the Panthers here, which maybe I would have gone receiver, but corners would need to. It's fine. Deion Walker, I am scare-roused by. It's like 6'7", 350. It doesn't move like he's that size. Does stand up and have the leverage issues that come with being that tall. I think I can fix him, though. I like him a lot as a day 2 upside swing. Jalen Royals getting a route runners for Lamar Jackson makes sense. I'm curious how the center class works out. Jared Wilson at 60 is a little bit rich for my blood, but we'll see what ends up happening to Frank Ragnow long term. Trey Harris, number 61 to the Commanders here, adding another number 2 receiver option, big body on the outside. I like that fit. Landon Jackson is who he is. He's going to be a edge setter on the outside, is not going to be a twitched up pass rusher. If you know that going in, you should like what he is. Terrence Ferguson to the Eagles, okay. I don't know if you need to spend a premium pick on a number 2 tight end behind Oscar. That seems like not great investment usage there. And then Travion Henderson would be a very fun fit for the Chiefs. Not as expensive as the first-round pick they spent on, Clyde Edwards-Helaire years ago. Who you got in this one? C for the Chiefs, in the Super Bowl, of course. C for the Chiefs, E for the Eagles. Let me know in the comments section of today's show. 66% voting in favor of the Eagles. Now, we will be live for the Super Bowl. Hit that sub button if you haven't already. YouTube.com/chatsportstv.